How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing? I just remembered I had an interview, but it kept coming through as no caller ID. And I'm like, or no ID. And I'm like, nah, they ain't, I don't know who that was. So my wife finally remembers. She's like, I think we have a interview tonight.
We're calling you about your boat's extended warranty.
Yeah.
That's normally what it's about. Somebody wants to sell me some siding or extended warranty or something. I'm like, you know what? How you guys doing tonight?
Oh man, Gerald, we're having a good night, man. This is our Christmas giveaway show, so it's always a big night for us on this show. We got a lot of people watching and wanting to win some goodies. But before we get into all that, I wanted to kind of talk about right now. You're in the middle of hunting right now, and I know that is like your big time passion is hunting. But how do you? I mean, you're getting to get fishing season going on. I mean, when's the point do you finally switch your gear and say, okay, I got to get out the tree stand and I got to focus primarily on fishing?
It's getting within a day or two of where we at right now. We're trying to, we're just trying to enjoy a few days. We have a farm up here in Alabama that her and I own, and trying to enjoy a little bit of time before Christmas. But we're right there on that threshold of having to put everything down and go switch full fishing gears. If my boat would have been ready, if my Phoenix boat would have already been arrived, I would have probably already been out of the tree.
Yeah.
But I think I like about 3 or 4 days before it's complete. So we're trying to sneak in a few last minute hunts, but then you just have to switch. You just have to say, that's it. And I love hunting. That's my getaway, my passion, my recharge. And my wife says I can do it every day. She said, you do love it, but every now and then you just have to quit. You're like, all right, that's it. I got to do something else.
When you have tough days on the water and you're frustrated and, you come off and you have a bad event or something like that, do you have days like that in hunting too? I mean, do you have days where you just kind of frustrated?
Oh, I do. I've had one today. That's what she said. She said, you seem really aggravated. This morning, we just don't shoot many little deer around here, that's everybody's prerogative, so I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying we don't shoot little deer. We try to shoot a 5-year-old mature deer, and I'm hunting this morning, and some people's got 7 acres next to me. They're shooting the woods down. They're down there screaming and shooting some more, and I'm just like, really? And then I'm aggravated. She goes, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't get it either. I said, honey, I think that because I know that I'm running out of time, and you have one really good morning when the weather's right, and you got some dude down there with a lever action 30-30 shooting everything that walks, But that's the toughest part about hunting is, it's your prerogative. If you want to shoot a 4-point, shoot it. But if you want to try to grow big bucks, grow big bucks. It just bothers you as an outdoorsman when you let them all go on big tracts of land, and as soon as they spoke their head off the land, boom, they blow them down. You're like, that sucks. Yeah. And that's happened 4 times this year off my property. I have let a deer go multiple times, and he's got shot by the neighbors.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that's that same frustration of fishing when you come in and you're like, what do I do? But that's my decision. She said, it's your decision not to shoot them, so. She said, you wouldn't be proud of them, but you didn't shoot them, but you just have to take the good with the bad on that one.
Yeah, I understand that. We got some neighbors here that, you let some nice little 8-pointers walk and they cross the fence or spike or doe. It don't matter. Their motto is if it's brown, it's down.
Yeah, if they could shoot one in the wound where they could say they shot 2, they'd shoot a pregnant mama. Just and then they'll get on Facebook and try to post it.
Wow.
I'm just looking at true Alabama deer hunters who are going, a guy shot a 4-point weight 80 pounds. He's like, I shot me a cull buck. And I'm thinking, I don't care if you shoot the little deer. That's your business. But don't tell everybody he's a cull buck. He's an infant.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. That's like in your fishing pictures. You can long arm them all you want to and say they're 9 pounds. But when you come across the Elite Series stage, it's going to weigh 4. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So it's just different. I think that's my most frustrating. I've had a deer that we've had on our place off and on that with my history of pictures, I think he's a 7-year-old. And I'm just going to be honest with you, he's just whooped me. I mean, he's folded me up like a soft taco would eat me. I mean, He's been there when I'm not. When I'm there a lot, he's not. And when I don't live there, he shows up. But that's kind of the cat and mouse game that I enjoy. The fishing part. It's just like I find this one deer, and he's way big, and I'm like, I'm going to kill him. Well, I ain't, so I guess I'm going to drink more. But I didn't kill him. I think I'm out of time. I just looked at the 5-day weather cycle, and I'm like, hey, I'm pretty much out of time, and I'm pretty much out of weather. He wins.
Yeah.
So it's cat and mouse. I think, but you look at fishermen across the board. I look at somebody like Jason Christie. He's as infatuated with archery hunting as I am. So and me and him talk about it a lot. It's just a cat and mouse game. It's like fishing. You lose at archery hunting so much, I think it drives the obsession to go more. With a rifle, not that big a deal. But that archery, so many things go wrong that you fuel to fix it. You're like, I'm going to correct this and correct this, which that's how I see fishing. So many days don't go like I expect. I think that's why you get up the next day and say, I'm going to do it bigger and better. I don't think that's some kind of weird sickness outdoorsman have that so I failed today. Tomorrow's going to be a great day.
Yeah. Yeah, you just kind of got to get over it and go on to the next one. Like in fishing, you have a bad event, you kind of got to get over it and get yourself back together and put your head down and grind again.
Yep, dust it off. I guess if we killed one or caught a big one every time we went out, you really wouldn't know what it was like to suck, so you wouldn't know what it was like to do good. It would just be a loss, like a vanilla feeling. There would be nothing there. Because you wouldn't have, if you suck at deer hunting for a month straight and then you shoot a big one, when your adrenaline's sky high because you've done it. The same with fishing. If you don't win for 4 or 5 months straight, or then you finally have a great finish, your adrenaline goes through the roof.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. Now, we'd get bored with it if you caught big fish all the time, or you killed big buck all the time. It'd just be.
I would.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know I would. I think that's why, with my attention deficit disorder the way it is, I think that's what keeps me focused. It's the little things that go wrong, the little things to pay attention to, and the failure amount. I come back in at lunch thinking, I can't wait to get back in that tree. I'm going to get him. And as soon as I come out, I'm like, my wife's like, you say every day's today, honey. Every day you leave here, this house. She was like, well, today's today. She goes, they can't all be today. Don't you know that by now? And I'm like, yeah, but in my mind, I think today's today. And that's the same way when I fish. When I'm out from the dock, I think today's today. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a mindset you get into where you think this is going to be the greatest day of fishing or hunting in your life. That's what outdoorsmen, I think, all have in common that people can never get a grasp on. That they all experience some form of high and some form of low, to the point they can talk about it and relate. I don't know that people that go to a NASCAR race, you sitting there, there's 160,000 people, and they're watching the cars go racing around a track. But at the end of the day, they're not going to go ask Dale Jr., how was the wedges on the inside left wheel? Was it feel like it was pulling out on you in that turn 4? Did you feel like you needed more shim on the frame? They don't know that. There's nothing to talk about. They just watch the race. But you can run into a weekend guy to a pro guy at the gas station and say, how was the biting? Man, I was biting funny. That cold front come in. They just wouldn't hardly hold that jig. That guy's like, yeah, man, I had the same problem. They automatically have something in common.
Yeah.
That's what deer hunting, I think that's what outdoorsmen have. They have that unique thing that we can relate to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's my weird way of thinking when I pull up at a place. I'm like, that's the difference in bass fishing and everything else. And even, probably like golf. Most of my buddies at golf, they're never going to play on some of them courses. They're never going to know what that's like.
Yeah.
Hunting, you can all climb a tree. You can all see a deer, and you can all get the shakes. You can go have breakfast together, and you can laugh about it and talk about it, because it was the same exact experience, whether it was a 170-incher or a cold buck 4-point. Somebody said it's the excitement of the hunt.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's why you get out there. That's why you do it. That's sounds good right now. That's why we do it. That's what we live for. And kind of what I wanted to get into, you've always done, and they've talked about it on Bass University. One of the highest viewed videos is your positive mental attitude. And that's something I want to talk about now, especially nowadays. It seems like there's so much going on in the fishing industry. in the last couple of years. And I don't want to get into you're coming over to Bass, and, a lot of people are excited about it. And I listened to your Bass Talk Live interview. Really great. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head there.
Appreciate it.
And you could, just listening to it, you could feel the sincerity in it and why it was so important for you. But with I don't know, it seems like you go on Facebook or social media, it's so much negativity in the world when it comes in the fishing industry. How do you stay positive? Like, say you're out on the water and you're having so much going on, just keeping a positive mental attitude. What's the key to that?
It's a constant battle. I wear the bracelet and people buy them, and when I go speak about positive attitude, people think, man, you got this down pat. And I'm like, no, man, I struggle every day. Every day I struggle. When they shot that gun this morning right behind me, I wanted to just throw everything out of stand and give up.
Yeah.
But you have to keep it all together. So you know what? It's just a deer. Fishing's the same way. No matter if someone's on your first spot, your second spot, or your third spot, you still have to continue the race. So you try to control your mind. And I agree. When you get on social, all the platforms, whether it's politics, whether it's fishing, whether it's deer hunting, the negativity just oozes out of people. It's like they're the Bruce Lee of the keyboard. They're high kicking and karate chopping, and I don't get that. I'm like, if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. But I think social media has offered everybody a voice, and some people just want to be negative. My wife and I tell her this. I told her this 2 or 3 years ago, and she said we've never forget it as a family. There's people on Facebook that don't like Jesus, and he ain't done nothing to nobody. So they not going to like me. They're not all going to like me. So I said, I am prepared to take that negativity and just push it aside. Used to, it would concern me. So I said, I try not to let that bother me. I try to focus on what I would like to do, where my passion is, where my dreams are, what's the most important thing, my family, my faith, kind of go forward. But the problem is I have to look in the mirror every day and brush my teeth in the morning and tell myself that this is not something that comes easy for me.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm the guy that could be sitting in Jack's drive-thru for chicken and thinking, I ought to just get out and just go crazy on these people. But you don't. You're just like, you know what? It's just chicken. Just settle down. So I think as competitors and certain personality people, they are wired higher. They're wired 220.
Yeah.
The key is knowing it and being able to control it and say, you know what, it's just chicken. Even when you're fishing, even though it's the Bass Masters Classic, you just have to say, at that particular time, it's a fish. Yeah. Don't focus on what you lost right there and focus on what you learned. It is a battle, because I have my days, guys, I lose it. I lose that battle where I'm not positive about what it is, because I've had my wife say, I thought you had a positive mental attitude. I said, I am positive that I suck today. Okay. He said, well, that's not what I was talking about. I said, but I think understanding it and knowing when you're doing it and being able to try to shake it off is the key. I think not admitting it and spiraling downhill makes it worse.
Yeah.
So we worked at it. My wife stays on me constantly to stay positive. I just think we're in a society where negativity is the easiest thing that people spit out. You can walk around people. I try to keep up with it. You hardly ever in a crowd and hear somebody compliment anybody.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
At first to say something bad about them. So me and her had a running joke one year. We was going to try to at least say three things good about somebody before you can say anything bad about anybody. You got to work at it.
Yep.
You got to work at it to stay that, and then you realize, man, this place, there ain't nobody ever said nothing good about anybody. So I think it's a lifestyle change. You have to just own up to that. You're wired that way. You want to win. You're passionate about everything you do, whether it's hunting, fishing, living life. And when things don't go your way, it's really easy to turn the other way. She's come out there and seen me with a sledgehammer beating on farm equipment. And I got 3 days to come home. I'm trying to plant all my fields. I'm trying to work 17 hours a day, and then something breaks. And I'm beating and slinging, and she'll come out there, she'll look at me, and I'll say, honey, I love you, and I don't want you to think less of me, so just go in the house. She said, I think I'm just going to go in the house for a while. I said, sometimes a man's just got to get it out. I just got to take this hammer and beat on this pen till I'm exhausted, and then I'll be fine. So I think everybody's wired different. That's just how we handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I know being a mechanic, I have them days sometimes where it's like you finally come across that one piece of equipment that, just don't want to do right, and you beat the tar out of it. You got to get that frustration out.
You're looking at it, and I'm telling it, really, you don't want to do this. You do not want to be the screw that does not come out, because I will get a sawzall and cut this whole project apart. And I just think it's funny because it's coming. Like you're sitting there going, yep, this is going to be what gets me right here. This bush hog not hooking up. I'm about to lose it.
Yeah.
I think the key is, though, we know it, we can address it, and we can move past it. It's when the people deny that, I think it's when that negative thought process stays on top of you constantly, and it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, especially now, I mean, and what y'all do, and everything's on the line. I know how I can flip out if I lose. Chris knows I lost a nice smallmouth up there at Big Island Paper Mill that one day a couple months ago, and I could have swore people about 3 counties down could have heard me.
Yeah, I was there for that meltdown.
Yeah, that was a total meltdown. That was
they heard it inside the paper mill.
Yeah.
But
if you can control it and let it out, though, you know what I mean. Like if you know it and you go ahead and let it out right then, and you can reel it back in, you're better off. It's when you let it out and then you can't reel it back in where you're like, yeah, I'm mad at the whole world now.
Yeah. Now, do you have times when you're on camera, you're like, hey, man, I need you to shut that down for a minute because I gotta chill out.
Sir. Yes, sir. There was a moment at an Elite Series when we were fishing out in Oklahoma on Texoma, and I think I finished second or third that tournament, and I lost like 2 or 3 big ones on top of in the bushes back to back, and I had a big long loss, and that guy's right there, and I turned around and looked at him. I said, just turn it off, man. Let's do us all a favor and just give me 2 minutes, turn it off. And he did. All I do is he turned it off. Eric turned it off. I said, but just let me have my meltdown, and we'll turn it back on, and the children will never know that I'm a bad guy. But right now, I'm fixing to address Satan himself. I just think you got to let it out, and I've had them days where I'm like, and then some days, it goes your way and it never crosses your mind. But I just think you watch all athletes and you study them, everybody has a way to vent or let it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially that's what I was always wondering. Like, we've had the opportunity at the Classic me and James to do some ride-alongs, and but I've never been with somebody that actually had an issue where they had to have a meltdown, thankfully. I did ride with Ott Defoe when he caught a 9-pounder, and we're running back, and his boat, just quits, And instead of having, any kind of, great, I'm screwed or any of that stuff, he's already picking his phone up and looking around. And luckily, James and Bobby Lane had to be coming by, and they swapped everything over, and there I am stuck with a broke-down boat in the middle of the lake. Don't know what the heck I'm going to do. But to be able to make the decisions and stay in the game, but like I say, I've never seen nobody have a meltdown on the water. But I've always wondered that. I wonder if they're like, hey, man, you need to cut the camera off. Because I'm going to say some words I don't need nobody to know.
I think guys are doing it now, and they realize there's just too many platforms for it to be out. So out of respect, I say, hey, man, I'm fixing to kick the windshield. I'm fixing to scream at dogs. Give me 2 minutes. Some guys never say a word,
Yeah.
But this last Classic at Knoxville, the first day, man, I lost 3-4 pounders in a row, just back to back to back. And I mean, I was at the verge of it would not have took much. I think if a squirrel would have barked at me, I would have lost it. I was at that point of anger, and you're doing all you can to reel it in because, over years, this game, you almost got to control your emotions and don't let your emotions control the game. But that is hard to do when you're wired 220.
Yeah.
Because you were so close and you almost had it, but you can't think that way. You just got to try to make yourself think, hey, man, if you had that many big bites this quick, it's going to be a great day. But it's a full-time struggle. I have to address it in the mirror. I'm telling you, y'all have no idea. I have mornings where I'm just like, really? This is how it's going to be? You just want to throw the whole coffee pot out in the yard. That's when my wife will come in there and she'll say, baby, no matter how bad it is, I love you. I looked at her one day, I said, honey, no matter how bad it is, let's don't say that again the rest of the year. I said, because that don't make it. I said, till after I settle down, that doesn't make me feel any better about why they all come off on my spinnerbait. You know, I don't know. I think outdoorsmen are wired different, man. They're when you get to that top level of the game, you're wired a little different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Van Dam's been one of them guys for years that's been able to control the emotion of the game. You know, I think you see other guys that are not the foe. He can control it pretty good. It's just the way he's wired. You see other guys that are wired 220 that you can see it dripping off of them. They're ready to punch somebody. They'd hit Ray Lewis right in the mouth if they had to when it all went bad.
Was there ever any anglers that was on the tour that you were like, you come rolling back in a creek somewhere and you see them sitting there and you're like, I better just leave this one alone because you know that it could cause some controversy or something said?
You know, there's a few of them that you're like, oh God, this guy's so dramatic and such a drama queen. I'm just gonna go somewhere else. You know, you just like it ain't even worth it because, you know, I think by learning the situation, avoiding that stuff as any type of angler, you're better off. No matter if you're fishing a local tournament or a big tournament, if you know that it's going to be. Most of the time, if it's on the verge of being controversial, just leave.
Yeah, it ain't no sense in fighting.
Don't even let it get started because it just gonna, you know, and they ain't no need to put yourself through it. Just go somewhere else.
Yep, exactly right. Kind of, let's get into 2020 season, and you're going to the Bassmasters. Is there any lakes that stick out in your mind right now that you're ready to hit? You know, I mean, I know a lot of pros say all of them, but is there one that really sticks out that you're like, man, I can't wait to get to that body of water?
I think the first one, going to Palatka, the St. Johns River, is the one that's really got my attention because I know the potential of that place and it's such a big fish mecca, you know, and I like it. That was the one that really stands out to me. I was looking at some of those smallmouth tournaments. You know, you look at St. Clair, well, it's just phenomenal, so you can't help but look forward to going there. I'm the weird guy that says I'm looking forward to going to Sabine. It's the worst one on the tour, on the whole schedule. But I've always done pretty good there. I like the struggle of the Sabine. I like those grinder tournaments mixed in with a good one. So, I mean, I'd be the weird guy. I'd go Palatka, Sabine, St. Clair.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always good when you go to St. Clair, most definitely. And then your Florida events is always.
You know, you get a Sabine in there, and people's like, why in the world would you look forward to going to that place? I'm like, I don't know. I just like those grinders mixed in every now and then.
Well, you're good, I say junk fisherman. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at the deck of your boat, and it's always 20 rods sitting up there, you know, and that's me and James can always relate to that because when we were in bass boats, that's how it was with us. I mean, so many rods.
I think sometimes you just got to go through them. You know what I mean? You don't always have to be on the mother load to be competitive. You can take the tools you got and use them when it's called for, and still put together a big bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, you go and look at like Brian Thrift and all of them. You know, they always got a pile load of rods on the deck, junk fishing. But then you also see them guys that have like 2 rods. And you're like, my Lord, that guy's. He must be really on something with that. He's pulling the good rods out when he gets to his spot.
We have that running joke. We always say, fear the man with 2 rods out, you know, or 2 rod. We always call it 2-rod Todd. If you're going to be 2-rod Todd, you usually got it dialed in. And that's either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
But the guy that just takes the baits that he's got confidence in, mixes them up, watches the banks, every opportunity he's given, he picks up something and makes it count. That's consistency. That guy, over a period of time, it's just hard to guard.
Yeah.
You know, he don't pick up 40 rods and throw them all at the same time. He may have 10 or 12 rods up on the front deck, and he may only make 15 casts for the buzzbait that whole day, but he caught a 4-pounder on one of them because he's just looking for the right, perfect place to throw it.
Yeah.
To me, that's the true definition of junk fishing. He's the guy that can lay a variety of rods up there for the time and the situation and just make it work.
Yep. Chris, you said we
Not just saying, hey, I got 40 rocks and they're all tangled up. I can't get them undone, but yet I'm versatile. No, you're confused. You're not versatile. You're just confused.
Chris, you say we got a question?
Yeah, Michael was wanting to know what his go-to bait was in cold weather if he has one.
Oh, that's easy. It's a 3/8 ounce balling out jig. It's my little ball head jig, 3/8 ounce brown with a little touch of green in it. And I always throw 2 different chunks. I throw the Zoom Z-Crawl or the Zoom Twin Tail green pumpkin. No matter where I go, whether the water temperature is 44 or 51, 52, I'm going to throw a 3/8 ounce brown and green jig with a green pumpkin twin tail or like the Z-Crawl on there. Usually throw the same setup, 7/4 rod in the length, 6/8 to 1 reel. I'm going to throw 16-pound sunline. That's just something that I know no matter where I go, I can get bit on. I can fish it from 2 foot to 42 foot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them deals that you lay on your front deck, and if you go by a boat dock and see a brush spot down there with fish on it, and I go by it, I'll pick my jig up and throw back to it. So it's just the go-to bait in cold water.
Yeah. Which that kind of brings us to a topic. We normally do our in-depth segment, and him bringing it up, which was a good question. James, Chris, who was it that asked that question?
That was Michael Smith.
Michael Smith, thank you for that question there. We always do an in-depth segment, and like I say, right now we're in cold water, which I know you are. Most of the time you're in a tree stand at this time of the year, but I know you still get out and do some fishing and all that. But when it comes to this time, when it gets to this time of the year and it's cold, and like I say, you're talking about a jig, but what are some things that you're looking for on a reservoir to start searching for your first bite?
Well, there's a couple of things I keep in mind when I go fishing cold water. You have a couple options. If you're fishing clear cold water, naturally you're going to fish deeper. Around here, you can jerk some fish up with like a deeper diving or paddle jerk bait or something. But most of the time, if it's clear and cold, the water's clear, I'm going to be throwing a shaking head, a 1/4 ounce head, 8-pound line, just something real simple, Zoom trick worm. I'm going to be fishing real vertical banks, straight off banks with a spotted bass and all that. But if I go to a lake like Guntersville that's got good water clarity, pretty good color and grass, I'm going to be throwing nothing but a DT6. I know the fish still live in that 4 to 8 foot range. They live in the grass. I don't think a DT6 can be beat in cold water. If I'm fishing a rocky reservoir that has just a little bit of haze in the water, in other words, a foot of visibility, and you want to fish the bank, if you feel comfortable with that and the water is dirty enough, you can't beat a shad rap. It's a little aggravating to throw, but a number 7 and number 8 shad rap will catch one. I don't care how cold the water gets.
Yeah.
Crawfish color in general. Just go down the bank. It's just a little aggravating to fish. You can throw on a spinning rod, throw on a bait caster, but if the water's got color, they'll be on the bank and catch them on a shad rap, period. So, DT6, a shad rap, and my jig, and a shaking head, that's pretty much my whole winter makeup.
Yeah, it's shad rap. Jason, like you said, shad rap's hard to beat that bait.
I love that shad rap.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, it's hard. It is hard to guard. It's like an Alabama wide receiver, so they're hard to guard. But they're a little bit aggravating. People get frustrated throwing them. I just tell everybody the biggest problem with a shad rap is people try to overthrow it.
Yeah.
It's like swinging a golf club. When you swing it nice and smooth, it's going to cast well. If you try to snap your wrist and throw too hard, a shad rap's going to work you over.
Yep. Yeah, it's what is some of your main colors? I know around here you got the regular shad color. I know a lot of people like to throw the crawl color as well, that brownish color. And
the brown crawls.
Yep. And what's some kind of colors you stick with? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Gerald.
I like the shad, like a natural shad. I really like that natural shad color in cold water or crawfish.
Yeah.
But I'll take the newer shad wraps out of the pack, and I'll take a really, really fine, almost like a buffing cloth, really super fine sandpaper, and I'll kind of sand the sheen off of them where they're not real shiny, where they're kind of dull looking, flat looking. Mm-hmm. Even the natural shad to the crawfish, and that's the 2 colors I'll throw.
Yeah.
I think when the water temperature is 50 and above, they'll still bite that natural shad color really good. When it seems to get down in the 40s and hold, they seem to swap over and get more on the crawfish.
I got you. Chris, the question we had come into, was this something on the...
Let's see. He's wanting to know why. Let me see if I can find it. I done lost it. Why he always prefers ball over football. I think he's referring to...
the jig head, yeah.
Jig head.
Right, my jig head. I just think because when you look at a shaking head, there's probably not a worm set up out there that's caught more bass than a shaking head, which is a jig head style ball head. So when I made that jig, when I first started working on it, I thought as many fish as you catch on a shaking head, and I wanted a jig that would be pretty simple, the way it fell, and build it compact. So I just built it right after the shaking head. I mean, the way it falls and everything. I know they make ball head jigs and stuff, football head, but the ball head I went after just because it's shaking head, and the minute it caught, I figured it couldn't let you down on the jig. They did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's true.
I feel like, I know a football head hangs up. I mean, all of them hang up, but I always feel like with a ball-headed jig, for one, it's a little bit easier to skip. So you come up on a dock, it's easier to skip up under a dock than it is a big old football head sometimes. And then, like say, also, it just seems like I don't get hung up as much with a round head, a ball head, than I do like a football or a regular arky jig sometimes.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I think that little ball head jig just comes through cover better.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, we got one more there?
Yeah, Jillian's wanting to know if he's a fan of the tungsten shaky heads or does he prefer lead because of the size and added action.
Did you hear that, Gerald?
I'm going to be honest with you. I still make my own. Me and my son-in-law make them and bake them in my wife's oven, and she still gets pissed off about it. We make them out of lead. We pour our own quarter-ounce head. We use a 4-aught, like a lighter wire hook, longer shank hook, but I'm an old-school lead guy when it comes to shaking heads because to fish a shaking head correctly, you're going to hang it because you need to have it in a bunch of brush piles. You need to be putting it in some thick cover. And if you're worried about breaking it off, when you get to that tungsten and you start paying $6 or $7 for 3 of them, whether you're sponsored by them or not, it's just a cost thing. I don't think you fish it as aggressive.
Yeah.
If I pour them 200 or 300 at a time, if I break off 20 in a day, big deal. I don't care. I've been tying on since I was 16, and I'll keep tying on now. I think it's the mindset of, okay, how many times I hang it up? I'm going to keep throwing it back in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
James, you won a tournament that we fished one time like that. I mean, we poured our own jigs, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, you had a spot that you didn't want to lose it. You didn't want to tear the spot up, so you just broke them off. And I mean, that's the perks of pouring.
Yeah, I was going through jigs like I was. I'm glad I wasn't buying them at the time. I'd have spent $400 that day.
Yep, but you won.
Yeah, I did. I won that $150.
That's exactly right. I'm the same way, dude. I just break them off. I think tungsten, when you get to pour one, a quarter-ounce head on a typical hook that you'd fish a shaking head in, that head is the weight is so small, the eye sticks out so far, it's going to hang worse.
Yeah.
Because it's just a smaller lead. So I just like the low lead style is what I throw, and I just let her rip. I double powder paint them and then cook them in the oven.
Yeah. And I don't get, I mean, granted, I get tungsten on certain things, Texas rigs and stuff like that too, but I still use lead a lot on a lot of that. But, I see people throwing tungsten drop shot weights and all that, and I get it. I mean, I guess you can feel a little bit what's down there, but most of the time when I'm fishing a drop shot, I don't really care what I'm feeling down there. You know what I mean? Like I'm either dropping on top of their head or, but I think the tungsten craze has gotten kind of crazy, really, with the amount of.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, I see it all the time, and I'm like, woof.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it for a living, but I think that's kind of crazy. But, I mean, I see some of the advantages. It's smaller, it sinks faster, it hits harder on the bottom. I get all that. But when it comes to shaking head and stuff like that, and even pouring my flipping jigs and stuff like that, or ball head jig, I'll just stick with lead because I'm going to break it off in a minute anyway.
Yep. Now, one of the biggest things for you, kind of still talking about jigs a little bit, was you always kept it simple. And I've referred to you several times during our shows and videos, and I kind of keep my jig selection the same way. You keep your colors simple. You don't have a whole array of 20 different colors you carry around with you.
Brown and black, baby. If I don't bite the brown one, throw the black one. When I don't bite the black one, I'll try the brown one again. I think you can get lost in colors. Yes, there's times in clear water where, jokingly, I'll throw green pumpkin. It's super clear. You're trying to match it up a little bit. But I don't have all these 45 crawl colors on it. I throw a brown with a touch of orange in it, brown with a touch of green in it, orange when it's muddy, green when it's clear. I'll throw a plain black, black and blue.
Yeah.
I feel like with a jig, the presentation and putting it where he's at is more important most of the time than the colors. The only time that color matters if you got that 5 to 8 foot of visibility. Yeah, you might want to throw a green pumpkin with a little big watermelon crawfish on there, Lanier or Smith or something super clear. Other than that, it's presentation and where you put it.
Yep, that's exactly right. And a lot of times, like I say, you flipping a jig in trees and all that, you're trying to put it on his head anyways. It's just a reaction bite more times, 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
So, but
it's just like you just reaching out there and slapping them in grabs. I tell people, I said, worry about more about where you put it than more about the colors laying in the floor of the boat.
Yeah, exactly right. What we got, Chris?
Brandon's wanting to know what he's looking for specifically on his graphs this time of year to find fish on reservoirs.
I think you have to use your graphs more this time of year. I really depend. Like I use the Helix 12s. Been a Humminbird guy for a while. I really like the side imaging, the clarity, the mega image, and all that. But this time of year, like at Smith Lake, I'll just use it for instance. If you're not around the blueback, you're not around the shad in the morning in them ditches, you're not going to be successful. Well, the only way to know that is to graph it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that time of year where your graph, if you dial it in, you use it to shortcut everything. Yeah, I can put the boat in and run 30 or 40 ditches in one day, throwing, letting it go to the bottom, shaking it. But if I can idle that ditch and see the bait, there's a really good chance the fish is going to be in them. And the colder it gets, the more they get stacked up. If I find them in a ditch, then I control it on top of them. I can see the fish on the bottom and drop straight on them. I think June is the best graph time of year, and then that December, January, February, when they're super deep, water's cold, you better be tuned in on that Helix 12 and know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, Humminbird, too, he's kind of getting on to that. Humminbird's got everybody come out with a trolling motor this year. Everybody's got one, but it seems like Humminbird did a really good job with pairing their transducer and the trolling motor with the graph itself. And from what I'm seeing from pictures and images, they really hit it this year with everything they're doing and making their graphs even more clear.
Absolutely. And that's all mega imaging. You got mega imaging built-in transducers. You have side imaging and DI in the trolling motor, which makes it cleaner, keeps the transducer cord protected, which is where most of us do our damage on our transducers. Is we hit trees, we hit rocks, it nicks the cord, and it's pretty much that's on us. So it eliminates that whole going bad, hitting something. But then you have 360 mega imaging up there also you can look at. So I think Humminbird has kind of led the charge on the clarity of the picture, and really being able to see super, super detail, even the bait, the fish, how far away from the boat it is. I tell everybody, I said, now just because you see them doesn't mean you can catch them. But it's kind of like trail cameras and deer. Trail cameras are the best thing they've ever come out with. But just because he lets me take his picture don't mean he's going to let me hold his cold, wet, dead feet. He's not going to walk out in front of you. Brandon. He's just going to let you know he's there. But after that, it's still like mega imaging. You can see them, but you then have to catch them.
Yeah, exactly. And we run the Panoptix Live Scope, and I got it on my kayak. Me and James both do. And don't get me wrong, James, I mean, you can contest here. It's phenomenal technology. But you learn so much about those fish just watching them on that graph. Not pay any attention to that bait that just come by and about smacked them in the face. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing to watch how they react.
I told somebody this one time. I said, sometimes I don't want to know how many fish I fish by. I said, really? I said, no, I don't want to know I sucked that bad one day. And I said, that's what we're getting to that many details. And I've caught a few. And I had a buddy of mine that was running the Panoptix when it first come out, and he's like, man, there's fish on every boat dock you come by, and he follows my bait out. And we were in an elite series. And I said, really? I said, how many of them you caught? He said, none. I said, huh. In the tournament, he struggled and bombed on it.
Yeah.
He bombed. Come in, I said, he said, I couldn't quit, man. He said, every time I throw my swim bait out in front of one of them docks, he said, I could see the fish coming back at my bait. I said, but none of them ever bent. He said, no. I said, then I don't want to know. If I'd have known that, I'd have still been over there with you.
Yeah.
I said, you really just want to know where you casting the fish bit at.
Yeah.
I think our electronics are getting so good like with hummingbirds, you can see so much. Sometimes you're like, man, I hate to leave because I know they're bass, but if they're not in the mood, they're not in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've been married 15 years, you kind of understand that. It's either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
You can fan cast the rattle trap in the living room all you want to, but it don't mean you're gonna get a bite. So I think that's just where you're at, just because you can see them. So I think now we're going to have to start really perfecting the level of talent to say, these fish I've seen set up like this before, these are probably bites.
Yeah.
You really got to have to work on that, not just seeing fish, but knowing what kind of fish when you see them that you can go catch them.
Yeah, it is. It's addicting. I've, just out fun fishing, I've caught myself about like you sight fishing a 5-pounder on a bed. You know what I mean? Like some of them are going to bite, some of them ain't.
Yeah.
And that's how that is. It's addicting. And sometimes I don't even look at it anymore. I just put it on side imaging and go. Like I don't even worry about it no more. It's too addicting.
I do think there's a time and place where you did too much knowledge is bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think sometimes you just need to know, hey, I seen some rocks over on the bottom. I'm going to sit out here and throw my tube around. And if I throw over there and they bite it, I'm going to come back to this spot. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
I think that way, one of the simplicity of that is that the game stays clear. It's just when you say, hey, I've seen some rocks, I've seen 30, 40 fish on them, I'm going to make a pass around there. And I said, until that line jumps, it's all irrelevant.
Yep. It don't matter. Don't matter until that line jumps. So, James, you got anything for Gerald before we go to cover just a couple more little things before we let him go?
No, I mean, I just love listening to him. He's very positive.
Yeah.
Just roll tide, baby. Roll tide.
Chris, what we got?
Garrett wants to know if he thinks he can run Andy Morgan's bullet down with that new Phoenix.
Man, I don't know if I can run him down, but if I got close to him in the curve, I'd put him against the wall. I can tell you that. Because where I come from, rubbing is racing. And I'm thinking about putting a number 3 on mine and just running him down. He's pretty fast in that thing, but I'm going to tell you, if I can touch you, woo, that's a tune him up. I'm looking forward to running this new Phoenix. I mean, I'm excited about it. I've been around the boats. I know what they're capable of, but I'm ready to compete out of one. I'm ready to have that advantage be mine. Yeah. Handling, high performance, top end boat, I'm ready for that. So I think mine will be ready by a few days after Christmas, and I'm like, Santa Claus is bringing me something really good this year. And it's a 921 Elite Phoenix, and I can't wait to get in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when it comes to, I know you don't want to talk much more about Triton or anything, but when it comes to Triton and Phoenix and driving and all, I know Triton was a boat that you had to really get up on the wheel and drive, and, it took a little bit to learn how to drive that boat. How's the Phoenix when it comes to drive? I've never drove a Phoenix.
It's a little, I think, from what I've drove my buddy's boats, I think it's a little bit of the feel of the wheel. A Triton, when they first come out, as Randy Flowers say, they's about China walking. My buddy calls it China walking. But once you learn to drive it, it was second nature. I think a Phoenix is a little bit more stable on that with the way the pad's built, the way it lifts. The boat clearly does lift high and perform well, but maybe not as hard to drive, and it seems like it keeps its speed in the corners a little better, which if you're really just looking at, trying to pass people and racing in a tournament and all that, a lot of that is speed in the corners, being able to sustain a good hard turn and not drop down 7 or 8 miles an hour. So if you can hold it in the corners, and I can remember Britt Myers telling me that he was racing somebody last year in a Phoenix, and he's like, dude, Britt's boat's super fast in a bass cat, but he said, as fast as my boat was, he said that guy basically stayed by me the whole time, side by side, because he said in the turn, he never lost nothing. He said that guy was just right against me. So I think setting them up right to handle the turns is the key to being able to run a lot of people down when you're running on tournament situation.
Yeah, I love that feeling at blast off. Like, sometimes I didn't want to be number one. I wanted to be a while back, especially like several boats back, because you want to run everybody down.
Right. That's a good
You want to be about boat number 80, so you can just start stacking them up like the express lane of Walmart on a Black Friday sale, just stacking them people back, as we call it around here, putting that gap sauce on them, because I'm about to gap you about 3 boat lengths. I tell my boys I'm about to gap sauce you when they come out of here. I think that's the part like I really missed in the Elite Series last year was those big takeoffs and those races. I missed that.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that I'm still a kid at heart, but I got a 66 Chevy 2 Resto mod. There's something about fast motors, cars, and all that. That's just adrenaline. That's just what fuels the fire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I mean, I'm old. I turned 50, but I ain't just give up. I still like to run one.
That's right.
I hear you.
That's right. I know for me and James and Jason, you've come out of bass boats too, and we've gotten into the kayaking side of things, and their tournaments are different. You can put in anywhere, but me and James and Jason and all them, we'll put in some of the same areas, and now we got motors, and that's what we do. We got little trolling motors on there, so you got to see us trying to race each other out of the hole when we come out for blast
Y'all
off.
trying to push each other in the wall running 3.8 miles an hour. That's uncreative.
Absolutely. It's like
You
a
should not be able to exchange kayak paint unless it's over 5 miles an hour. That should be called state law unchristian. I mean,
You got a lasso, trying to lasso each other.
I tell you what, I tried to film a TV show on my kayak this year, and they turned the water on in the Sipsey River, and I looked like a monkey with a grease football going down that river. I was going end over end, throwing in the bushes. I'm like, hey, this is tough. I was trying to back up, paddle, hold the wheel, stir. After I just put the rod down, I said, hey, we're going to film this on the next episode. This is pretty complicated right now. That's going to take a little getting used to. So y'all don't be wrecking. Y'all don't turn them trolling more. Y'all have some lithium batteries in there and be trying to outrun everybody now.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. That's what we got.
Yeah, we got the lithiums and trolling motors and all that. So, but
oh my God, I'd have to get mixed up with y'all. I'd have to try to lighten my kayak up or sand it or wax the bottom of it or something. I'd have to outrun y'all somehow.
We always
we have a good time.
Oh yeah, we build our own trolling motor mount, and some of the boats that we've been putting them on, we're always you're trying to get that little extra. It's funny in bass boats, you're trying to get a mile an hour. Us, we're like trying to get a half a mile an hour. You're like, man, we got 4.2 out of this. Let's see if we can get 4.5,
It's all about weight control and weight distribution. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Less drag in the water. No matter if you're running 3 miles an hour or you're running 73, it's the same principle. Get the most boat out of the water as you can, less water drag, and the performance level of it.
That's right. Yep. Chris, you say we got another question for?
Yeah, well, I was just wanting to know what a good starter fish finder would be.
A good start, like low budget, I guess, like a lower budget fish finder.
Something
like a Helix 7 or something like that, and it doesn't have to be, you could go on like a Helix 7 or an 8, something on that end. You don't have to start out with a 12 or a 15 and have all that. You can.
Yeah.
The good thing about for me, and that's all I know, like the Humminbird stuff, you can go down to a 6-inch screen, 7-inch screen. It still has mega image in it. It's just not as big a picture, but the pricing goes way down.
Yeah.
As long as it has mega imaging, you're going to get the same quality picture, just in a smaller scale.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the main thing too, once you get that graph, is actually sitting there and studying and learning. I see a lot of people get graphs, spend a lot of money, put them on a boat, and then they go out there fishing and then wonder why they can't catch any fish off your graph. You got to really learn that thing. You got to spend time with it. It's just like for me and James when we learned jig fishing. We took jigs out with us, and that's the only box we took to learn it. That's the same thing.
Yep.
You got to learn that graph.
You got to learn it. You got to build up that confidence in it. And if you don't understand it, watch plenty of YouTube videos. Get out there and read that graph. Don't be scared to mash the buttons. You're not going to hurt it.
Yep.
Get your settings set on it, and then learn to trust it. And I think a lot of people that you got to sit in that seat a little bit, stay disciplined, and read it.
Yep.
Just like hunting. You find a good place, you got to be disciplined enough to sit in that seat and wait for something to happen. That's kind of what drafting is. You just got to sit in that seat and look.
Yeah, exactly.
You see them, you can catch them. So, my advice is don't be afraid to sit in that seat and be bored for a little while.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got we've got 2 more questions for you, or we'll cover one thing that Jason wants to tell you, and then Chris, what question do we got?
Ricky's wanting to know if he uses an Aqua View, and what is his opinion on it?
Oh, you talking about the underwater cameras, the Aqua Views? Yeah.
I used one years ago with a guy just out fishing, and I come to that same synopsis at the end of that day. He said, "What do you think?" And I, with my best redneck way, I said, "I don't like it." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because we suck." I said, "Well, we've seen all kind of fish, and we ain't caught none of them." So I said, "I think it's an awesome piece of equipment, but just because we can see them don't mean we can catch them. But the problem is when you've seen them through that kind of way, it was hard to leave."
Yeah. It's hard to
make
clear
and
decisions.
when the line wasn't jumping, we were still casting. And I'm like, man, if you just go to where the fish are biting. So I think it's a really awesome kind of tool to see the bottom, but I was a little bit spooked of it because I see so much I couldn't catch.
Yeah. And Jason, you had some information that you was talking about with you and your wife.
This little doesn't have to do with fishing, but a while back, I just want to thank you first because you saved my wife and myself a lot of neck cramps. You did a review. We were in the pillow market not too long ago, and you did a review on the My Pillow, and that's what we were going.
Yeah.
We were going to go to Kohl's and get the My Pillow, and I found this video that you did, and me and the wife watched it. We probably watched it 10 times. We watched it the other night because I was telling her about it again, and I just wanted to personally say thank you for saving us.
See? God bless you. God bless you. I saved y'all $49 a piece at Walmart and $2 worth of goodie powders for the headache you're going to have after sleeping on it. Because I'm going to tell you, you could have chopped up chicken and put it in mine and folded them over for a taco. I said, this is the worst $49 I ever spent in my life. They said, well, you're supposed to dry it, fluff it, and bring it. I said, ho, I don't need a second. Wow, I need a pillow. I said, I thought it was just $49. I mean, I thought you just took it out of the pack, and I'm like, man, that's a bad deal on that My Pillow.
Oh man, he got to tell me about that. I was like, I don't remember seeing that video. I got to go back and check it out.
My wife says I can't. Sometimes I want to do just product reviews, and she said you can do some, but you got to do positive ones too. She said you only seem to want to do the ones that don't work. I said, because that's the ones that people need to know about.
Yeah.
Like gas jugs with the filter in there that you can't pump them in there. That's an idiot. The moron that done that needs to be shot in the face with a water pellet gun just over and over. I said, why would you put a filter in a gas jug that you can't pump the stupid gas in?
Yeah.
He's like, so that's my product review. So I wanted to do one on camera card readers for trail cameras the other day because I got all these that just broke. She said, please don't do that, please. So she wouldn't let me make my video because I was going to tell them that on this glorious day I've discovered that y'all all suck. It can't be that hard to make a card reader. If you think about it, you can't go pull your trail camera card out and just put in a card reader and an iPad because they all break first time you unplug them. And they cost $30 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, I don't know who's dumber, the guy who made it or me for buying it over and over. I mean, we're both neck and neck on the stupidity pole at this part of the match.
Oh, man. Gerald.
Well, I look at it, so.
Well, Gerald, we love having you, man. This is a show we've been trying to work on getting you on for a while, and really appreciate you taking the time to come on. And we'll be down at the 2020 Classic. Looking forward to seeing you down there. I know you won't be fishing this year, but we'll see you down there at the expo.
Yep, I'll be down there working, and I appreciate y'all having me on. And sorry about that no-caller ID. I swear I thought y'all was trying to sell me side or extended warranty on my truck. And I didn't need either one of them, so I didn't really want to answer.
You're fine, man. It's all right. I probably should have told you, hey, it might be a funny number coming up. Didn't think about that. But no, man, I really do appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you down there, man.
You guys, thanks for having me on. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.